for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So the members present are Ms. Tara Carr, Mr. Bob Belden, and myself, Steve Dunn. There seemed to be some confusion over the agenda. I would like to ask Bob to review the agenda. It was posted correctly on one part of the town website, incorrectly on another. What was given to the town clerk was completely correct on Friday. It was just when it was scanned on a single page versus dual page, you know, both front and back. Bob, you want to walk through?
Yeah, so I won't repeat what you said, Steve. We actually have a town clerk website that's called eCode 360, where the official versions are posted for the public. Some people just go to eCode 360 to get a copy of the agenda, and page 2 out of 3 was missing. And it was confusing, right, to be frank. So in discussing with Attorney Beecher, he just recommended that we make a motion to amend the agenda to add the items that were on the missing page to the agenda. It was posted correctly on a different part of the town website, but I think we just have to.
I will make that motion.
No, I gotta make the motion, Steve.
Oh, you want to make the motion?
I have to, because it has to be detailed. So I will move that we add, after item B on the ad hoc fire EMS study committee, there was missing verbiage on the charge of the committee, that we add that. The ad hoc police building committee, item C, under item 7A, Homeland Towers, an update. Item 7B, Iroquois pipeline update. And item A8, consent agenda, and under that there's items A, selectmen approval for routine matters, item B, Board of Selectmen meeting minutes, item C, driveway bond releases, item D, excavation bonds, and item E, employee changes. And those employee changes were actually listed on the 3rd page of the agenda that was posted. So, he's advised that these were in fact posted on another part of the agenda, and they were posted at the town clerk correctly. So they were fine. They were fine.
Page 4, is that? Okay.
They were fine. And that.
Just add page 4 with correspondence that was missing as well. Your motion.
I'm sorry. There was on page 4. There were approximately 10 or 11. Correspondences listed that I may not have also been posted, and adjournment, item 11. So with that, that's my motion to add those items out of the, for the avoidance of doubt.
Yes, I will second that motion. Any discussion?
I just want to say I brought this up because it was brought to my attention, and residents go to eCode. That's the most user-friendly place to look at it through the town clerk when she stamps it and it gets put in. People feel that it was lacking transparency because the entire agenda was not posted. There were folks who wanted to come speak on some of the items, particularly the tower and the pipeline issues, but they weren't aware that it was on the agenda for this evening because it wasn't there. So I understand we're adding it now, and that's fine, but I feel like maybe we should table it because they didn't have an opportunity to make arrangements to be here to speak to the topic.
Well, there's not a decision.
The
There's not a
agenda.
decision point, Mrs. Carr. That's just an update.
I'm sorry?
Those are just update items.
Well,
there's
but
no
the
decisions.
public would like to, you know,
Of
be
course they would.
apprised of what we're talking about.
Oh, of
and they
course, I
weren't.
agree with you. And it was validly posted with the town clerk, and validly posted on one part of the website. It just the C code 360 was not. So
Yep.
I do not agree with tabling.
Okay. Any further comment?
Nope.
All those in favor of adopting the changes that Bob recommended, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, carries forward. Public comment. Who do we have for public comment?
James Stockton.
Good evening. James Doctor, number 9, Ground Road, Brookfield, Connecticut, lifelong resident of Brookfield. I understand the Board of Selectmen are appointing Andrew Lyle back to the Department of Public Works. As a 29-and-a-half-year former employee, 10-plus years as superintendent of roads. Andy has a problem with authority. listening to supervisor in a hostile temperature, damaging equipment, and sexually harassing former employees by pulling down his pants while the man was on a man lift. This was covered up by former Human Resource Director Fern Smedniak. Not only does Danny put employees' health and safety at risk, he also demoralizes the Public Works Department. I urge the Board of Selectmen not to reappoint Andy Lyle to the Public Works Department. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
I'm sorry, who? I don't see that on here.
It's
Where-
not, we don't appoint.
You hire.
Oh, it's a hire.
Anybody else?
Pam Kraus.
Pam Kraus, 2 Cove Road. Two short comments. First, the cell tower. I'm aware that many have commented in your public meetings objecting to the placement of a new tower in the area of the high school. I'm also aware that EMS has commented that they need the service to do their jobs. I live in Barkwood Falls neighborhood. Cell service is erratic, not reliable. I have a home booster provided free of charge by Verizon who acknowledged spotty service. I purchased a T-Mobile phone and to see if that would help. That didn't work. It works no better. There have been social media posts and public comments on health consequences, but there is no solid basis in science to date for these assertions. Many posted sites are no more than conspiracy theories or fundraising. There's been a local resident that took an antenna into the neighborhood, claimed that there was no need because her antenna picked up a signal at an address that happens to be next door to me. My next door neighbor confirmed they do not get reliable service. I can tell you this. On the evening of Friday, July 12th, my husband had a medical emergency. We contacted his MDs, triaged, and followed up with the on-call oncologist. Calls were dropping. Ultimately, we were able to have a conversation. I was standing on top of a bed in one of the bedrooms that we found a signal that was not dropping. This was a life-threatening emergency. You get my point. I've tried fiber, no infrastructure. Voice over internet only works when the internet works. Sometimes Spectrum does not always work. Please help. This involves hundreds of homes in Northeast Brookfield. Any decision you make, please consider the environmental sensitivity of the area. As to the compressor station, last week, the DC Circuit, which hears all FERC appeals, slammed FERC in a New Jersey case brought by numerous environmental groups and ordinary constituents. Connecticut was part of the amicus brief for this appeal. The arguments made by those groups in New Jersey that object to a pipeline have a striking similarity to those that have been raised in our situation of facts. Alternative energy has changed the equation where FERC review is now not a rubber stamp. One thing to remember where Brookfield is concerned is that the Certificate of Public Convenience and Necessity was issued in the middle of the COVID crisis. It needs reevaluation under new facts and the new decisions. Today, the Sierra Club of Connecticut released a report authored by 2 independent public health experts explaining and substantiating the health hazards of putting in additional gas turbines in our town. It was specific to Brookfield. We have raised that there are alternatives to these turbines, and we know this town deserves to be protected from more methane and toxic discharges. We're already in a severe non-attainment area. Please press forward before we lose the window of opportunity and use the contacts that you have to push harder. We need a meeting with the state decision makers before an intent to issue. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good evening, Board of Selectmen. I'm Tamara McMahon-Treeford. I live at 175 Riskinere Road. For disclosure, I do sit on 2 commissions here for the town, the Historic Commission and the Conservation Commission, but I'm speaking as a resident tonight, just so everyone is clear. My comments are on the site location and the cell tower that we reviewed. I don't live far from Williams Park, actually down the street, so I walk both paths of C and B in the last issuance that Mr. Dunn had given us to review, and I walked those myself. The options we stated, obviously, are not the same opinion as myself. As a master gardener, too, some of the detriment that would happen to the park itself, the number of trees that would have to be removed, it's just the whole ecosystem would suffer greatly. And that on top of what the conservation volunteers, and these are people who are just town residents that come out for our BEF program that we've been doing at Williams Park, removing the invasive species of euonymus burning bush, barberry and bittersweet and other things like Norway maple and such. This is our third year of progress, and we've made some significant progress in the park, and our natives are thriving and growing, and we'd hate to suffer after so much effort and with so many people showing up at the parks now, to have our conservation and open space and our park space used for utilities. I just think the usage of this land is not appropriate for this utility for the town. I walked over to Vale Road to see that cell tower that was a recent install, and the base of it is 40 by 40. This base is, the two bases are subject to be 50 by 50 and 50 by 60. There's some large trucks and concrete that have to get up there to put something that size through there. So just the detriment to the environment. Like Pam mentioned, there is no significant evidence to support that this is dangerous to people's health. American Cancer Society, I've read through, has not been able to support any evidence or provide any evidence that significantly shows any health risks by having a cell tower of this nature. Although 5G, if this is a 5G cell tower, is still so new that many of these agencies have not been able to do significant research in order to make an informed decision. So as a town resident and a lover of our parks and open space, I ask you to reconsider the location of this. And that's it.
Thank you.
Anthony Capiello, 135 Candlewood Lake Road. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I stand before you because I feel compelled to speak on behalf of the town's open spaces. Some of you may recognize me as a member of the Conservation Commission, which I am, but presently I am here representing myself as a concerned resident. Now, I realize that the need for a cell tower has been established to serve these underserved parts of town. A tower being built somewhere in this neighborhood is all but a certainty. Thus, if we are to be pragmatic and accept this, we must look to mitigate any negative consequences. This Board of Selectmen has heard plenty from those expressing concerns about the proximity of a tower to Brookfield High School. As a result, I believe there has been an overreaction, forcing the latest proposed sites to be located deeper into Williams Park, at least 1,500 feet from the school. Locating a tower at either of these two most recently proposed locations would have the worst impact yet of the 7 various locations which have been considered up to now. Many trees would need to be felled. The resulting opening of the forest canopy will promote the encroachment of invasive species with intended negative consequences to the environment. Some may argue that neither of these locations would technically be inside Williams Park, but I have hiked the trails in Williams-Gursky open space for many years, and these locations are well within what I have always considered to be a part of Williams Park, and I bet many residents will agree with me. When reviewing the proposed locations, the Conservation Commission considered only conservation concerns. We deferred to FCC guidelines regarding safe electromagnetic radiation. Now, I am no expert, but I am a practicing engineer with over 40 years experience who has studied electromagnetic radiation at the graduate level at UConn. So I can comfortably follow the antenna site FCC radio frequency compliance assessment and report for the proposed tower. This report presents an independent expert assessment of radio frequency levels. This analysis includes the proposed Verizon antenna operation combined with a worst-case hypothetical location of the 3 other antennas. This assessment is extremely conservative. putting the highest power antenna at the worst locations, assuming that all wireless carriers are operating at maximum capacity and maximum power in each of their licensed frequency bands. Thus, there is a great deal of confidence that the actual RF frequency from any of these realistic combinations of wireless operators would be in compliance. Establishes safe for continuous exposure to RF fields by humans of either sex, all ages and sizes, and under all conditions. The report concludes that out to a distance of 680 feet, the total worst case exposure would be less than 9% of maximum permissible exposure. That means there is a greater than 91% safety margin on an assessment that is already extremely conservative. On top of that, there seems to be an arbitrarily imposed requirement that the tower now be located at least 1,500 feet away from the school. I would urge the board to reconsider some of the earlier proposed locations as being much better from an environmental point of view. Thank you.
Thank you. That's it? Okay. Let's move on. Okay, we have some presentations. Mr. Jayanis was going to present to us on the Still River Greenway.
Thank you. It's good to see you again. This presentation is going to give you
Can you just for the record tell us your name?
Jay Annis, 12 Kimberly Drive, Brookfield, Connecticut. I'm the chairman of the Still River Greenway Expansion Ad Hoc Committee.
Thank you, Jay.
Some of what I'm going to present, the board in particular may already be aware of. Other things that are a little bit newer you may not be aware of. But also, I wanted to present this also for the public to understand what is happening with the Greenway. First of all, what is happening with the Greenway in terms of usage? We are still number 3 in the state. At 192,000 people used the Greenway in 2023. That is a remarkable amount of people given the size of Brookfield. So it tells us that the Still River Greenway still is very popular and is by far one of the most popular in the state. Last year, the U.S. Department of Transportation granted a WestCog a grant of about $4.5 million to complete a design study that would incorporate the Still River Greenway in the Norwalk Valley River Trail. So eventually, this design, which you can see on the map, will create a greenway from Norwalk all the way to Gaylordsville. What's new, that grant requires a 20% input of funds from each municipality, of which there are 7 involved. However, in March, WestCog applied for a grant to DEEP this year, which had $10 million for funding greenways and trails. They were awarded a $500,000 grant, which will be used to take away half of that 20% to the cost of each town. So we, in essence, will now only have to pay 10% of the cost in order to get our portion of the design done. However, the DOT in Connecticut and the U.S. Department of Transportation work very slowly. So unfortunately, we have slipped back about a quarter. So this is the new timeline. In August of this month, we expect to finalize the grant with the Federal Highway Administration. August, September, WestCog is going to prepare an RFP to be sent out to engineering firms around the state. They expect to choose an engineering firm in either October or November and expect that work to start January of 2025 with a expected completion of about 26 months. And just a reminder that our committee has been working for a couple of years on expansion to the north, which we pretty much have a path chosen. This design will also consider connecting the Greenway with Danbury to the south. You can see from this, this is a schedule that was provided last year for how long each of those segments would take, when they would start. You can see down at the bottom, the Still River Greenway is still expected to start in the 5th month. So we are towards the beginning of the design study. It's just that we'll be back, pushed back about a quarter from where we were originally. I want to remind everybody that greenways and the DOT offers greenways license plates. You've seen the lighthouse license plates. We now have ones for the greenway. I have one on my car. Costs $70 if you use your existing number, tag number. I've left some brochures up here in the front for anybody who would like to take one, and it gives you all the information on getting a Greenway license plate. Why should you do this? Because all of the money that is raised from the license plate program goes to funding Connecticut Greenways. There are only 2 license plates in the state that do that: the Lighthouse for Long Island Sound and the Greenways. Could you move that over a little bit? Okay, never mind. Sorry. I wanted to introduce you, if you haven't seen it already, to the Connecticut Trail Finder. So the Connecticut Trail Finder is a program that UConn is doing in conjunction with DEEP. It's funded by the state. And right now there are over 300 trails on the Trail Finder. You can look up trails, you can get directions to trails, you can get a map. You can also set up your own account if you want to track what greenways or trails you've been to, take pictures, etc. So I want to give you a little, and there's a little more of a twist to this recently, which I want to show you. So I'm going to step over here and play with the computer.
So this is the Still River Greenway site on the Connecticut Trail Finder. So you can see that it's got the length, the difficulty, the type of surface, whether pets are allowed or not. It's got a description of it. So all 300 trails on this site have something similar to this. And then of course we have down at the bottom, if you want any more information, you call Laura at the Parks and Recreation.
Thank you, Jay.
But here's what I really wanted to show you. Services. For the last couple of months, my committee has been going around and soliciting businesses. So the businesses that are near the Greenway and also are pertinent to the Greenway, such as food stores, a bicycle center, etc. We've been going around to these different establishments, getting all of this information. We submit it to UConn, and UConn reviews it and then puts it up on the site. So all of our local businesses are getting the benefit of the Greenway.
So lastly, 2 things. The Lions Club recently informed our committee that they have authorized the purchase of 4 benches for the existing Still River Greenway. So our committee is working with the Lions Club to determine exactly where those benches should be along the Greenway. We'd like to thank the Lions Club for this generous donation. And lastly, if you want to know more, you can always call Laura or just go to the Recreation website. Our committee has been working for 3 years now, and obviously we're making some progress in conjunction with the state. And hopefully, if you want a brochure on the Norwalk Valley River Trail project, There's also some brochures up in the front for that as well. I'd like to just thank my committee. If you could bring up the next slide, Cynthia. That's my committee. We've been working every month on extending the Greenway and making sure everybody was up to speed. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jay.
Jay, could you stay? I have a question, actually.
Yes, sir.
So first of all, thank you guys for everything you do.
You're quite welcome.
You all do a fabulous job for our town.
Thank you. Nobody standing, not a standing ovation? Please. Thank you, Steve.
My question is about this extension project.
Yep.
You know, that Westcog is
Yes.
leading. The way I'm listening to what you said, that sounds like the town will be on the hook for some amount of money yet to be determined.
It's, right now, it's about 10%.
Yeah, but we
Of the
know
co-
10% of something.
Well, we had an idea last year, but obviously that's changed, you know, by the time they get to this. If I recall right, I think it was about $63,000, 60-something thousand.
It was, I believe it was $58,000, the last thing Westcog told me.
Right,
Half of that would be 29,000.
right, which is what we're down to now.
Yeah, but Westcog has not come up with a final
But here's
number.
my question. and
Go ahead.
A bit to you and a bit to you, Steve.
Yep.
Is in our charter, it requires that we have a town meeting before we accept a grant.
Correct.
If it was a grant just with us,
Yes.
right? And we do it before the grant is awarded. Usually because there's a dollar commitment to it.
Right.
In this case, it sounds like Westcog is doing all the grant work, not the town.
Correct.
Right? So my question is, what is the protocol of the town getting the the money approval that we need to do for our share? Do we need a town meeting? Do we need, what is it we need to do, right? And I'm not clear on that.
Yeah. When
And when?
We'd absolutely have to appropriate the money, we'd have to find a source, and Tom, I believe we'd have to have a town meeting, right? It's an additional appropriation
Well, it depends
if
on
we
the
did
amount.
it in this year, unless we could find it within our existing budget, yes.
So this was in the budget for the current year-end 25, 63,648. So it already went through a town meeting to be approved for, it was part of our capital for this year, cash
Okay,
capital.
I forgot that.
And that is sufficient to check all the boxes
Yeah.
Yes.
in the charter?
Yeah, we had the 20% cost when we did the budget, that's
Yeah.
correct, and that was 63,000.
So it sounds like it'll be less than that, it'll be 10%.
It'd be about 32,000.
Yeah,
But I also would mention that Westcog has indicated that they're going to still try to find the other 10%. So by the time they finish, the town may have no expenditure.
And
Yeah.
that's just for the design?
Design study, correct.
Design.
But that 20%, that 26 months, Westcog is looking at that as if they can get completed by 26 months, there's still money left in the Transportation Act that they can go back and access for construction.
yeah.
Okay, that's the federal transportation.
Correct, correct.
I'm sensitive to going down the primrose path, if you will, without the town having a sense of the money that we are committing or potentially being committed to do.
I tried to get a number out of Westcog so that I would have it for this meeting, so that I could give you a more exact number, but they don't have it yet.
They don't
so.
have it. They just don't have it. The beauty of this, I think, is it is coordinated between every single town that would be a part of this. So it will be a complete design and a true complete design. It's very difficult going through Danbury.
Correct.
It's gonna be very difficult. The southern part of Brookfield, very, very difficult. And they're gonna hire a design firm to actually start to flesh that out for every single town. I think it's really
And
ambitious.
Marcia,
and good
is
project.
it in the capital projects list or is it in regular expenses?
No, it's in capital projects, cash capital.
Where we itemize the capital project?
Yes, it was paid with excess revenues from last year.
Okay.
It's under a Still River Greenway line or something else?
Still River Greenway Extension Engineering Design is what it's called.
So it's a transparency question is kind of what I'm on.
Yeah.
And there's potentially a bigger dollar amount for construction. We just don't know how that'll play until we get the design.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be a huge number for the entire project.
Oh, it would be humongous. But you know what? We've done a lot with the Greenway using grant monies over time that have paid for a very high percentage.
There, you know, as we've also seen, there's a lot more money available for construction than there is for design.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
All right, thank you.
I have 2 questions. Hi, Jay. Nice
How
to
are
see
you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you. You mentioned the design to the north
yes.
that we've already paid for. Are they going to adopt those findings, or are they going to redo that design?
As I understand it, they're going to adopt that, but just flush out, you know, exactly where past Newberry Village we would go, and also talk to, you know, whatever landowners we might need a right-of-way for.
Okay. And my second question, and thanks to the Lions Club for donating those benches, they're beautiful, but I know in the past we've had a problem with dedication of benches around town. I was just wondering if there's any policy in place to address that before we have to
Parks
cross the
and
bridge.
Rec does have a policy, I believe, on accepting donations for benches and things like that.
Well, I know that Jim has spoken to Laura about the type of bench. They have an exact type of bench that they use. Laura, you want to address that?
Parks and Rec has standards, right?
But the question was about dedications, actually
Yeah.
attaching it to names to it and things like that.
The town has always had a policy, we do not name things after people. We haven't done it ever. We do have one bench at Gursky, which does have the name of one resident who unfortunately lost his life at a very young age. The Parks and Rec policy is to not name anything, right? These are just gonna be benches, correct, Laura?
It's like a dedication. It's not like in their.
On the benches, is there gonna be anybody's name or anything like that? They're just benches.
You can't. There is a plaque you can add.
Okay, and the plaque
Well,
meets the Parks and Rec?
Will it just say, in this case, from the Lions Club, donated by the Lions Club, or will it be dedicated to individuals?
You can put their names on
I'm sorry, say again?
it. We do allow names on it.
Okay.
But I don't know the answer to that question, Bob. I haven't been told that any individuals were going to be singled out for these benches. So I'm assuming at this point that it's going to say, you know, our thanks to the Lions Club.
The Lions Club didn't say to you, we're gonna donate benches, and it's gonna have this on it.
Correct, correct.
Maybe, Laura, can you elucidate what the policy is, so everybody understands what it is
Yeah.
on
So
benches? Can you come to the one of the microphones, so more
They
than?
can't hear you on TV.
They can't- oh, yeah, here.
Sorry, Laura.
Jay, we just wanna make sure that
Yeah, no
everybody's
problem.
comfortable with it.
Hi, Jay.
How are you?
So you can dedicate,
Can you tell us who you are?
oh, hello, I'm Laura Murphy. I am the Director of Parks and Recreation.
Right,
We just put in place policies for bench donations. We do have those, any requests actually go to the commission first for approval, and all of those are set up online. You can do it in name. We don't like having the years or any other symbols included on it. It could just say in memory or in memory of so-and-so.
Joe,
Exactly.
okay.
And the bench that was on that slide is the bench from the Park and Rec
Right.
Department.
And you have pre-approved benches that they have
Exactly.
to purchase through Parks
Yes.
and Rec?
You have to go through us.
Right.
We have select benches. We provide the plaque in that cost, as well as the foundation, whether it be concrete or processed stone.
Right, okay, good, great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No, I'm good.
Great,
Thank you.
That was informative. We have now, kind of, Greg Dembowski is here to, and, oh, James is here to make a presentation. Please join us. Yeah.
Jim Fisher, 12 Airmont Circle, also the chairman of the Economic Development Commission, and also a member of the Block Party Committee. For those of you who didn't make it this year, I'd say it was the best block party we've had. It's 4 years running, and it was spectacular. The weather was great, the band was great, food was great, people were there, and we're looking forward to it again already. I mean, I think every year we get a little bit better at the running of it. Next year it will be on June 1st, a Sunday, so we look forward to everybody coming out. This year, I think we also raised the most money, which is a great honor because we're giving it all back to the town, which is something I think all of our committee members were very proud of. The first donation is going to be going to Park and Rec. We've been trying to buy more flower baskets to dress up the downtown area. We've also asked Park and Rec to keep the flowers alive and do other things like that, and the park. So Laura Murphy, I'd like you to come up and present you a check for $3,000. And thank you for all the lovely flowers. Thank you. You're welcome. Another thing we feel very strongly about is our volunteer fire department in town and our EMT guys. And without them, you know, I don't think we can ever say thank you to all you guys enough, truthfully. We're making a donation for CPR training and emergency equipment repair in the tune of $2,000. And Chief Ellis, if you'd come up and accept that.
Thank you very much. It's going to go a long way to help a lot of people.
I appreciate it. And another strong thing we believe in this town is the library. And the library, we're making a donation so they can have a fall concert this year. And I'm going to call up Carolyn Ford and present her with a check for $1,000 so she can have a concert. Thank you. And for somebody who will not take any credit, he never does, is Greg Dombrowski. He never wants to say anything, but I'm sorry. He gets a round of applause too. Thank you very much.
We, the Board of Selectmen, want to thank you guys. This block party is incredible. I think everybody was there. I couldn't believe how many people were there. It was just packed. But just to cross all the T's and dot all the I's, I would make a motion that the Board of Selectmen accept these donations on behalf of the town of Brookfield for the library for $1,000 for Parks and Rec, to maintain the flowers for $3,000, and to Center Fire Company for $2,000. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We just want to make it official. Thank you again. We look forward to next year. I had a little trouble parking, Jim. Can you? Anything?
It's good for your legs.
Yeah, right. We were like half a mile down. But thank you again. You guys did a really great job. Okay, let's move on. Brookfield Fire Company would like to make a presentation.
Good evening, Andrew Ellis, Fire Chief, Brookfield Fire Company. With me is Assistant Chief Jesse Fry and Deputy Chief EMS Wayne Woodkey. We have just a few issues that are going on, and we've had some questions from residents and things. So we wanted to take this opportunity, just have some back and forth instead of the 3 minutes in the beginning of the meeting to kind of go over some things. First of all is our communication system. We need to make sure that there are no more roadblocks in the system. It is failing. The fire radios have failed 9 times since May. 9. So whatever we got to do to get that agreement signed for Vale Road to get this project moving, we need to do it. On Thursday, our backup failed. We had no radios at all, and we had a house filling with smoke after I got hit by lightning on Isabel's Way. I had to call the Danbury Fire Department. It's embarrassing for me to do that. All right? I can't have any more delays in this project. They told us this was going to fail. It's failing. The police department radio was on backup for, Chief, how many weeks were you on backup for until you got it switched? 4 weeks on backup where the officers couldn't really talk to each other around town. That's unacceptable.
So,
all right, and you guys have done a really good job of getting this project going, but we're at some roadblocks right now with the tower, and we need to get that moving.
on that issue, I finally got a communication from Ray Vergotti of Homeland Tower. He has agreed to give us a 90-day no fee, no rental today.
Outstanding.
Right, that's $3,000 a month. We had our budget, we were told when we did this budget that the towers would be ready to start putting the equipment on in December. That's what we budgeted, December 4th. We don't have that funding. So we've got the 3 months from the date the contract is signed, so we have a 90-day window. I went to Pete Frings today, sent him an email and asked him when we'll actually be ready to start putting the equipment on.
We had a meeting on Friday, and we're paused right now because of that. So today, if you did that today, that's outstanding. You guys have all been supportive of the project,
Yep.
but I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't let you know that we
Absolutely.
are in dire straits here.
Yep.
It is worse, Chief, you agree?
So
The worst it's ever been? It's the worst it's ever
We'll
been.
work with Peter and the chief and give us a date, because I want
Yeah.
to keep that
Well,
90
And
days.
when we come to you, like with things that we have to get done, we've got to get them done. There cannot be any delays.
Yeah.
Everybody's at risk, my people, the citizens of Brookfield. It is unacceptable to not have radios that work, you know, to activate us to go out to calls. Thank God we have mobile apps that require cell, and we got some people out, but we have.
Just the Vale Road Tower?
That was the delay for holding up there was an issue at the high school and a couple other projects that Pete was gonna work on, this week. He's getting it moving. The radio people are pretty clear. It's a Frontier issue. It's a Norcom issue. It's an end of life with our radios. We knew that. We just didn't think it would affect us the way it is right now. But I'm just letting everyone know that, you know, that's where we are, and you know, we all need to work together. We can't have delays. We had delays when this project was going, because of numerous things, and, you know, unfortunately, it pushed the project back, and
Let me make sure I understand. So we're moving forward, everything's installed
Yep.
at the police station. You guys are installed? What
no,
we
no,
need
no,
to
no,
do-
we're not installed. They have equipment staged for us, but and they're starting to disseminate it out, but it's not on the new system. We're just getting new equipment on the old system. It's not helping us at all. It's the infrastructure is what's failing for us.
So we will get the tower.
If you got
As soon
that,
as
Steve,
you're
if you
ready
got
to
that
go
90-day
on
thing
the
today,
tower,
that is
you'll be ready
that
to-
is a peace of mind for us.
How long does it take to get the equipment up on the tower
That's
once
gonna
the
be my
robots
next
are?
Yeah,
That varies based
Yeah.
on construction, getting the buildings set
Roughly,
up.
roughly.
Right. I honestly don't expect this to be operational for at least another, 3 to 6 months at least.
December,
Do
yeah.
we have the equipment up on the other towers?
They're working on RKI, and they have the other ones,
one?
Dinglebrook, they have the other ones at the schools, that they're working on all those without issue, they're moving forward ahead, but the main one, the Vale Road one, was the big delay.
Well, there's no delay on that now.
Well, that's awesome.
As soon as Peter comes back to us and says Norcom's ready to install it, we'll sign that lease.
All right, that's great. I
So,
appreciate it.
so is there something we can do to improve the 3 to 6 months?
I don't know, but when we get that phone call, that we need this, that, or the other thing, I need to be able to, we're gonna call you guys, John and myself, and we'll get a meeting, and we'll say, all right, we need to make this happen.
What I'm worried about is that it shifts from approval for the tower to other roadblocks.
Well, that's why I'm here,
And
because it's not just the one.
How do we clear them all out?
Well, that's why I'm here, and I just want to have the open dialogue and say, hey, you know what, when we get that, we have meetings every other Friday, and I think it's gonna go to every Friday pretty soon, it's gonna be a regular, meeting.
Yeah, because the only delay the town has been notified of is the
Access to the.
Correct,
on
correct.
Vale
We
Road
had
Tower.
delays.
There are others that
We had others during the building of this, and it was
These things
out of our
happen.
hands. It
Yeah,
was just,
happens.
it was dotting our i's and crossing our t's, basically. You
Okay.
know, we had to do
I'm
that.
not looking backwards.
Yeah, we can't. You gotta look forward.
I'm
Yeah,
looking forward.
yeah.
So the question is if.
But what we're gonna do, though, is
You
Peter-
set my alarm bell off for 3 to 6 months.
Yep.
And if there's something that says, okay, we got to get on the tower, how can we do it in weeks, not months, right?
Well, what we're
Would be
gonna
a
do is
question I would
Peter's our liaison to you guys, and when we have our Friday meetings, and if we have any obstacles, we're gonna make sure that he gets a hold of you, and we'll all work together to get them done, because.
The
if
only
if-
obstacle Peter's brought to us is. the
Correct.
railroad.
What he was asking is about anything further. I don't have a magic 8 ball. I wish I did. I picked a lottery
Something we
numbers.
can do, we want to know right away.
Absolutely.
Well, Peter's been
Yeah, he's been really good, and
good.
he's a good liaison for that,
Yeah,
but,
okay.
it's just, I'm just letting you guys know. 2 months ago, I had a guy ask me how many times, cell phone issues affected our responses. Twice in the last 2 weeks. One on Deerfield Road, one on Murphy's Lane, which backs up on the Gursky property, who was one of our longest-serving members and past chief of the fire department. The Deerfield Road was magnified with the radio problem. Ended up in patient dying. And the one on Murphy's Lane, unfortunately, the patient was deceased. But there were cell phone issues, multiple calls to 911 that were dropped, things like that. We got to get the cell tower in. That's twice in 2 weeks. All right, so people are asking, well, can you, we never track this stuff now. Well, we are now. And that's twice in those neighborhoods, which would be affected by that tower in 2 weeks, that people cannot appropriately call for help when their loved one was dying or dead. So we need to make sure, whatever we do, that can't be delayed either. We got to get that moving, all right? Fiscal year call volume for the ambulance. We did 2,808 responses as compared to last fiscal year of 2,631. It's a 146 increase for runs, or excuse me, for transports. We did 146 more transports than we did the previous year. And thank you to Ben and Ryan from Social Services. If it was not for them, that number would probably be 3,200 calls. They were able to alleviate a lot of workload off of us. But our numbers are up. We're going to be sending you what Chief Woodkey is going to be put it together, sending the both Board of Finance and Board of Selectmen a formal presentation about our increases over the last fiscal year, and they're quite substantial.
Those are actual transports of
Over
people?
146 transports, paying transports to the hospital. We were ahead than we were last fiscal year.
That's not just calls that didn't yield.
No calls,
Those are
no.
actual transports.
Paying calls, paying customers, as you like to say. Well, we have a presentation for that. We're going to be actively involved in the push for the moratorium for multifamily building in the TCD. Chief Fry did a lot of homework, and during the last 18 months, January 23 to July 1st of 24, we responded to 4,390 emergency incidents, fire and ambulance. 705 of those were to multifamily buildings. 705 of those.
That's all.
And they're listed out there. We have it listed for you, as you can see where we go. That's not including the Village of Brookfield Commons, which we did 169 calls to. Charter Senior Living, we did 138 calls to. Urgent Care, another 75. And the doctor's office at the Cornfield, another 60 calls there.
Yeah.
Okay, so this moratorium, we're 100% behind. It has had a profound impact on the fire department ambulance response. We kind of predicted this was going to happen, but to have 18 months worth of numbers and to go there 700 times is excessive.
And these are multifamily across town.
Correct.
Rollingwood, wherever it is.
If it's
If it's multifamily.
if it's multifamily, if it's coded in there.
More than two.
More than two.
Yeah, okay.
Correct.
More than two.
All right, so we will be actively involved. We'll be at that meeting, and we will 100% be behind slowing that down, the development, because it has had a huge impact on us. That's a lot of calls in 18 months to add to what we normally do. And the last thing we have is that party that happened on Rachel Farm. We've got a lot of inquiries, I got emails, I got phone calls. Can't you do anything about it? No, we can't. I have no authority as the fire chief or the fire department to do anything about a private party. But I will tell you, I have grave concerns about what happened.
We do too.
400 or 500 people, whatever was estimated to be there, is a place to have a mass casualty incident. If we have 500 people at a graduation, I have an ambulance there. Okay, we do things like that, sporting events. That was a very dangerous situation that our officers got put in for the police department and those people that were at. So we need to do whatever we can do to help you guys as far as drafting anything or whatever you're gonna do. We'll be behind it 100%, but I have no power as the fire chief to stop a private party at a home. We had a lot of inquiries about that. I have concerns that the roads were blocked. Long Meadow had issues, Old Bridge, New Bridge, Rachel Farm, we couldn't get equipment in there if we wanted to go help somebody. So that is a big issue for us. I do feel sympathetic to the town's folks. I wish I could help them. We don't have any power. The fire marshal really doesn't have any power to do that, but there's definite issues.
I think this is hopefully an anomaly in Brookfield, where somebody is advertising for people to come to a party.
Or they put an idea in somebody else's head. It frightens me because.
No, the answer is no in
Yeah.
Brookfield. No. The
So,
answer is
yeah,
no.
we have no, unfortunately,
do whatever
there's
we have
nothing
to
we
do
can
to
do.
stop
Well, our thing is whatever we can do to help you
Yeah.
with that, because
Oh,
that
we
can't
know
happen
your
again.
support.
That's all. So that's kind of our little presentation that we kind of give you a little update. We're gonna be putting something formal together to send to you guys, but we just kind of let you know. I appreciate you guys having our backs with the radios. I stay up at night with that, because
We all do.
it's concerning.
Jessica's been sending me texts every
Yeah.
night.
We'd love to go as fast as we can.
We're trying to do our best, and thank you for having our backs.
And if anything, I talk to Pete every day,
Yep.
every couple days on this, but if anything comes up that you're aware of, that someone is holding us up, let us know. We will get on them.
I appreciate that. We might have to push Frontier a little bit once in a while, so
Yeah.
we'll need
Okay.
you to kind of help with that.
Great. Thank
All
you,
right.
Andy.
Thank you.
Thank
Yep.
you, guys. Thanks for your assistance in working.
So what is being done for to stop these parties?
Right now, it just happened a week ago Friday. We have to look at the town ordinances. We may need to look at ordinances. I don't know what we have what we can do to stop it. We have to go through and find out, but there's no way we're gonna allow this to continue. If we have to write new ordinances, that's what we'll do, right? I mean, are we all
Well,
agreed?
I mean, we do have ordinances in place, so.
We have some. I'm not sure. John Puglisi, you're our chief of police. What do we have right? Can you join us, do you mind? John's more of an expert.
I'd be really interested to learn what
I would
it is
too.
we're doing.
Yeah, I would too.
John Puglisi, Brookfield Police Department. So to answer your question, I can't speak to specifics about this. This is
It's
a
ongoing,
active
but in
investigation.
general.
Well, the town has noise ordinance. There are state statutes that deal with risk of injury. There's several statutes in place, but as far as the town ordinance go, they're really the only one that I think that is appropriate would be a noise ordinance that are on the books right now, which I can't get into details, but that's what kind of started the whole call.
Sure.
So this was a very quick, within hours, escalated to this incident, the size that it was, and fortunately nobody got hurt, and we were able to call in some of our partners to help us deal with the crowds. But
So-
I can't answer the question without doing a little bit more research as far as ordinance go.
Did you ever have a situation where you couldn't exert authority because of lack of legislative air cover? I mean, to shut it down?
No.
You had all the support you needed ordinance-wise and
Sure.
law-wise? to
In
do what you
an
need to
event
do?
like this, yes. Yeah, it was, the amount of people there, the inability for traffic to move in and out, the people trespassing on other people's properties, the noise violations. There are a lot of violations that were very easy to enforce. However, they weren't, it's an ongoing investigation only because of the
Yeah, we
amount
don't
of
want you
people.
to speak about
Won't put you in an awkward position.
But just in general, you feel that you have enough laws in place to be able to address these if they ever occurred again?
Or do we need to do something?
Or does the town need to do something? Or do you want to think about that and come back to us?
I'll think about it and come back.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything that town would enact as far as an ordinance.
Parking, right? Like blocking off streets and parking, is that covered?
There are permits you can get for stuff like that, and if you start putting limits on that, then your wonderful block party is not gonna happen, because you can't, I don't know how you would allow it on certain pieces of property and not others, and so I guess it would need some research.
Yeah, because we all see graduation parties where there's 30, 40 cars on the street attending a graduation party. I don't think anyone has a problem with that. A party with 300 people in the middle of the night somewhere, I think we do have a problem with that. So why don't you review it as you go through? We know you can't talk about specifics or details, but if there's anything you think the town can do, can you come back to us and tell us, hey, we think if we did this or we did that? Or you can tell us, hey, the ordinances we have are enough to enforce our rules on noise and other things. Does that make sense?
Fundamental safety issue.
Yeah, for us.
And health department issues, I mean, were they selling food and things like that? Are we allowed to do those things without permits?
No, no,
Right.
you're not allowed to do that.
Right, so who's enforcing that?
That would be our health department, but this, I think, the ad I saw was $40 to get in. Didn't say they were selling food, didn't say, so you'd have to wait for the police to come up with, hey, did you find them selling food, right? You know, we have to wait for the
No
police
outside
investigation.
alcohol though, so.
People are allowed to drink alcohol. You're not allowed to sell it, right? But people can have a party at a private residence and give people alcohol, their guests alcohol, as long as they're not giving underage. But I think what we do is, before we as a board start to jump the gun, we understand, let John come back to us, once he's completed his investigation.
I
he knows
think we
what's
gotta
going on.
base it on sound, here's a real need.
Yeah.
And John will uncover a lot of that as he finishes his investigation. I think that's fair, but I do think this has got everybody in town's attention, especially the people who lived up in that area.
good
Oh
golly,
my
yes.
gosh, I heard from a bunch of constituents.
Yeah.
And begging us to do something.
Yeah.
So,
Well, something's getting done, so.
good.
And that night, something was done too, so.
Okay, great. Any other questions for John? So John, we'll follow up with you in the next few weeks, and then we'll ask you to come back. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Jim.
Okay. Move on. Monthly agenda, announcements. Coffee with the Community will be August 31st, 9 to 10 at the new Brookfield Market in Delray, located at 277 Wisconsin Road. Please join us. Again, sign up for the Spotlight newsletter and the Everbridge emergency notifications. Please follow the Town of Brookfield, Connecticut's emergency management Facebook page. Vacancies on boards and commissions, there is right now one on the Arts Commission, one on Building Code of Appeals, one on Energy Advisory Board. The farmers market, we have a number of open positions. We're looking for people to come in. We've had two people, especially Kathy Lasser and Betsy McElvain, who have been pretty much carrying the load on this for many years. They want to step back. We need younger people to come help us with the farmers market. It has grown incredibly. It's very popular. It's done right here on Town Hall site. So if you are interested as a resident, please call my office and we'll get you involved. Inland Wetlands Commission has a 1 member and 2 alternates open. Municipal Building Committee has 1 member and 1 alternate open. The WPCA has 1 alternate open. Youth Commission, 2 alternate. Zoning Board of Appeals, 1 alternate member. Zoning Commission, 1 alternate member. And now we move on to our monthly financial update from Marcia.
All right, you have the July revenue and expenditures. It's partway through the month because we had to get it in time for the agenda. With regard to this year's budget, there's a few small items here and there. We're keeping track of them. We generally like to do transfers quarterly at the beginning of the year. But there's one large one that you should be aware of that, and last month when we presented it to the Board of Finance, it was a surprise, and this month it's not going to be a surprise to anybody. Electricity. That all of our personal electricity bills have gone up substantially. Our purchasing manager, Steve, sent him to a seminar from Eversource at the end of June, and Eversource relayed that the bills are going up, and it hadn't been any place else. That none of the organizations, CCM, CASBO, any of them were knew about this. So we were still wondering if it was good information or bad. It is good information. And while our personal bills are going up 25%, the municipal billing is increasing up to 57%. That our best calculations are that this will be $190,000 for the Board of Ed in addition to what they've budgeted, and $53,000 for the town in addition to what we've budgeted. We talked to a number of different consultants that trying to get information. One said, it's probably going to be closer to 50% and not 57%. But our first bill came in for Center School. The bill is normally $700 for the vacant school, and it was $5,000. Oh. That it could very well be that it's based on estimated numbers. That, but it's going to be shocking and painful.
Yeah. So on that, just to clarify one thing, the town, we went through and I asked every single person, Julian, Marcia, anyone, did you get any notification from Eversource? Nobody could find it. I went to our Eversource rep and say, hey, we got caught by surprise here. And talking to other first selectmen and mayors, everyone got caught by surprise. CCM didn't notify anyone because they weren't aware of it. The town did get one notification, February 16th, I got an email. And the email subject was something right along the line, Eversource works to keep rates low for users. I opened it, I read it, it was 4 paragraphs of typical Eversource. And there was an attachment. I opened the attachment, I looked at it, there were a number of graphs, 10 or 12 pages, and one single line on one page, they had a line that said, commercial accounts will go up 57%. That's the only notification that we can find across the board, either on the school site or the town site. Virtually every town in Brookfield, every town in Connecticut City, Eversource ran this one under the radar beautifully. No one saw it. No one. So every town is running into the same, and every school district is running into the same issue. The only plus I can see from this is we know now, in the beginning of the budget year, so we can plan and work to keep it within our budget. Okay. And we're gonna continue to follow this. We'll watch like hawks. What else have you
So
had?
that is the big concern that we have on this year's budget, obviously. Other things that some of the departments need a little extra here, but they can take it out of there, that's all very normal. And there is an agenda item next, I think, that talking about transfer from one project to another that for a Still River Greenway design, but I'll wait and let you talk about that during your during its agenda item.
Okay.
Any questions for me?
No, you're not proposing any transfers or anything?
Other than that one with the separate
Other than
item,
that one for
no.
1,500? Okay, great. Any questions for Marcia?
How's the fiscal 23-24 closing going?
It's going well. That we've been working in July on revenue accounts and receivables because we don't shut off the payables until July 31st, and so the final June 2024 bills are going out this week, and then we can start with that. Our goal is to have the financial statements done for when the auditors get here September 9th, and I don't see any reason why we won't be able to maintain that goal.
And any surprises financially in terms of
No.
people spending is coming in as planned?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Great.
I do have a question regarding the Board of Ed budget for the last fiscal year. What was the overrun? How much in addition over the budget did we spend?
So ultimately they're not over the budget because we gave them an additional appropriation. So they had asked for 675, and I think they're at 645, the last report that we received, so they'll be under the amount that we gave them.
Great. Thank you, Marcia. Really appreciate it. On to new items. We're going to apply the state LOTSIP grant program has opened up again, and we can apply for a LOTSIP grant. That goes and has to be completed by, I believe, next March. So it gives us a little bit of time. In order to apply for the LOTSIP grant, you must have fully designed engineered drawings for the project. We had previously applied for a grant for what we call the master trail plan for the town hall property. It ran from the Greenway up past the police station, along the property on the west side of the town, by the public pagoda, you know, where the bands play, and would have worked its way up to the parking lot that is currently gravel where the glass recycling is. For concerts, we would like more parking, and more importantly, this would be completely ADA compliant, so people could get down to the concerts if they were in a wheelchair or needed physical help. So we went to all of our departments in town and said, is there any projects that you would really like to do that fit within LOTSIP grant guidelines? This is the only one that came up. But in order to do that, we have to update the engineering and design plans. So I would make a motion that the town transfer $1,500 as outlined in the financial report given by the controller from the excavator project that has been completed under budget to the engineering design for the town campus grant to allow submission of the LOTSIP grant. Can I have a second?
A second.
Second. Any further discussion on that?
So the LOTSIP grant would pay for the construction? if we have the design?
Right, you
Does
have
it pay
to
for
submit.
100% of the construction?
No, I think it's a matching grant, so we would have to, it's 100%. It is. I'm thinking LoSiP, right? So it's 100%.
So this would, so all we have to do is update our design.
Right.
And then apply, and if we get the grant, then they pay for it.
Right.
Is that?
Can I?
Yeah, please.
So this $1,500 is a preliminary design, a conceptual design for the grant application. Once we're awarded the grant, we're very successful with LOTSIP, we then have to go to a survey and do some detailed construction design.
Right.
So, and that'll be an RFP if it's over whatever the limit is to go for RFP. So this $1,500 is just for the conceptual design, not for the detailed design.
Now, we have that
But
for the previous
but
one.
the detailed design would be also covered by the LOTSIP grant?
No,
I'm just
LOTSIP,
trying to figure out what we're
LOTSIP covers 100% of construction. The engineering design is all on the town.
Right.
Do we have any idea how much that sort of costs?
I don't. I can work out an estimate. I need this $1,500 to do that, because one thing we'd like to do, just real quickly, can I?
Sure, please.
So what we designed about 3 or 4 years ago was a town hall campus master plan, and it's in the 10-year capital plan. It's to upgrade the amphitheater, to do a lot of things on the town hall campus. We did that because we applied for a deep grant about 3 or 4 years ago, $1.8 million. We weren't awarded. So LOTSIP only covers streetscape kind of projects and trails. So we're going to take the piece from that master plan that is LOTSIP eligible, which I think will be the parking lot, a picnic area, and the trail, and wrap that around all these sports fields and tie it to the Still River Greenway. So that would be Town Hall Campus Phase 2. Phase 1 is the pickleball courts. They're going in right now. And then Phase 3 would be the amphitheater. We'll have amphitheater seating and a observation pavilion looking down to the bandstand. That's Phase 3. By the way, when we apply for LOTSIP a year from now, it can be for the construction of the Still River Greenway from the end of Phase 4 all the way to New Milford, where 100% of the construction is paid for. Okay. The grant that Jay talked about will be paid for in that RAISE grant. Just as a
Marcia,
side
we
note.
have money in the 10-year plan for this sort of project, for the detailed design, or not?
We're still working with, the capital committee is coming back into, once the year started, they were gonna come back into activity and they were going to refine that 10-year plan. But there is stuff in there for streetscape, whether they keep it in or change it, depends on how well they do that, because this will be their first time on really looking at that.
Got it. So the 1,500 gets us to the point where we can apply.
Right.
Yes, this is just for the application. Yeah.
Who's doing the design?
We haven't selected anyone. The one that did it 4 years ago was Freeman. So this $1,500 is a number they gave me a couple days ago just to update their design for this for the LOTSIP eligible portion of our master plan.
Okay. Any further? Greg, thank you very much.
Thank you, Greg.
Yep.
Any further questions, issues, concerns? So all those in, I made the motion. Did I ask for a second?
Yeah, I second it.
Bob seconded it. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Carries 3-0. Thank you. The second issue is the Ad Hoc Fire EMS Study Committee. We want to form a committee to review and provide recommendations to the town based on the EMS fire study that was done for the town by Manitou Incorporated. If we all remember, they spent a long time talking to our fire, our EMS, our police about our services and understanding what they are and making recommendations as to what we need to do. Do we need to change anything? How are things going? It was overall a really, really in-depth, good report. It's 267 pages long. We need now to act on that report, distill it down, and to have a committee form suggestions to the town, recommendations to the town as to what to do based on those the recommendations made within the report. I would make a motion that the Board of Selectmen form the Ad Hoc Fire EMS Study Committee and appoint 5 people to the committee. Bob Belden is a representative and chair from the Board of Selectmen. Ryan Murphy, president of Candlewood Fire Company or his designate. Glenn Martone, the president of Center Fire Company or his designate. Michael Connors, our fire marshal, and John Puglisi, the chief of police. The charge they would have, let me just read that one. The committee is charged with reviewing the full report and supporting documentation provided by our consultant Manitou Incorporated, and to create a report for the town with specific actions that the committee recommends the town take in order to assure that the town is keeping with the best standards of providing fire and EMS services to our residents both now and in the future. We would ask that the committee report back to the Board of Selectmen on a regular basis and be prepared to submit a final report to the town by the end of the first quarter of 2025. That's the charge. So I make that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Bob seconds. Any discussion on that? Good.
Can Bob vote on this?
Yeah.
So he can vote to put himself on
Any
the
issue with
committee?
me voting on it?
Yeah.
Even though I'm on it?
Yeah, Bob can vote on it.
Okay, so what was the school of thought of having the police chief on there?
Police chief works hand in hand on a daily basis with both fire and EMS and has an insight into how our operations go. And we think he would be a very good person to be on the board. The reason we chose these people is they have particular skill sets. This is a very, in some ways, very technical and detailed look, and we need really skilled people in this to do that. And so we think John would be a great addition to that.
Because I see, well, we just heard how busy he is, and it seems that there's a lot going on, but
Yeah.
the next item is the police building committee ad hoc committee, so is he gonna be on that? I mean, does he have the bandwidth, I guess is my question.
John assured me that he does.
There's recommendations in Manitou's report related to the dispatch center and the dispatchers, which I think I would be pretty knowledgeable about, and the recommendations on staffing, equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
Okay, I'm
we
just-
really
I
can't
mean,
separate out the
you got a
police
lot
from
going on,
a
chief, so.
response standpoint. So thank you, John.
Maybe I should ask for a raise now.
Okay. Any further questions, concerns? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
That's carries 3-0. Okay. The next item is the Ad hoc Police Building Committee. I know we've had this on our radar for a while. We should right now should discuss, and that's what I'm asking us to do tonight, discuss forming a committee to undertake a study for addressing the increasing needs of our police department and to remain in compliance with the new legislation that has occurred, the Police Accountability Act. This committee will be charged with reviewing the needs of the police department and make recommendations to the Board of Selectmen in town on how to address these issues, and there are many of them. The committee, when formed, would be comprised of 7 people, with at least 1 person appointed from both the Police Commission and the Municipal Building Committee. We are asking residents to come forward who would like to join this committee and help plan the future of our facilities. You please contact my office, First Selectman's office, if you would like to join. I would like to open it up for any discussion or review. I know with the police.
There's no motion here, it's just.
No,
it's
we're having a discussion.
at this point.
Right. We would make a motion probably at our September meeting, once we get interested people who want to sit on this and begin to get an idea of who would like to be on this committee. It's really important. I know we've had discussions for the past at least 7 years about the inadequacies, particularly of our police station. It is, frankly, the needs and services that the police provide are outstripping the current building. The requirements under the Police Accountability Act, John has come to us and talked to us before about moving from Tier 4, Tier 3, Tier 1, Tier 2. We're going to have to, by law, make changes to our police station. We just have to. And what this committee would do would work with the police department very, very closely to understand exactly what the requirements of that Police Accountability Act and the needs of the police department, both now and for the future, what those would be, and then make recommendations to the town as to what we should do with our police station. Should we build, just like we did with Candlewood Lake Elementary School and Huckleberry, should we build new? Should we add on to the existing building? What should we add? What should it be? Right? And begin to have those discussions. We don't anticipate this work will be completed and actual construction will start for a few years, but it takes how many years was it, Bob, from the start of the discussion about Candlewood Lake Elementary School to the day we started, put a shovel in the ground?
Well, it was a year and a half to the referendum.
Okay,
Right,
and
that's probably the
then-
best measure.
Right.
Right, and in that year and a half, it was an awful lot of preliminary design discussions and which we've done some of here,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, we
To
have
be
done
fair, but it was a lot of engagement with the public, right? So people understood what we were talking about. We had those workout sessions where we said, here's what we're thinking about, and
Yep.
what suggestions do people have? You know, you don't pass a referendum for a new building unless you have some engagement.
Yeah,
Right? So
yeah.
this puts some meat behind, I think, work that's
Mhm.
already been done. And
Right.
so it's about how do we build what's right for our town.
Yeah.
So to me, it builds momentum, and we need to have momentum on this topic.
We absolutely do. We absolutely do. Tara, any
So
comments?
what would the timeline be for the committee then?
We haven't decided that. We can, we would, hopefully, I'm proposing that we appoint these people once they come out forward at our September meeting. I think, what's a reasonable amount of time?
They have to come together at the same time the center school project comes together, or before, right?
Yeah.
You can't come in after the center school project,
No.
or one will kill the other, right? That's what happened on the last library referendum, was
Yeah.
everybody kept saying, well, I want to hear what's going on with the school before I go vote on a library. So
Yeah.
that this is one where there's a lot of people who've heard we need to do something on the police building. And yet we're 2 months ahead on the center school project.
Yeah.
So we got to bring them together at the same timing.
That makes a lot of sense. And you know, the police, my opinion is, this is just my opinion, the police station comes before the community center. In my opinion, safety of our officers and our ability to respond. I really want a community center. I think that's a good idea, but a police station will come ahead of that, in my opinion.
So I think we'll need to coordinate between the two committees.
Yeah.
Right, so that they bring them to us at the same time. But we got to go at a reasonable pace. It does take some time.
Yeah.
Well,
But
I think we should backward plan. So when
I
would
agree.
the funds be available for us to go out to bond for
agree
something
on
like this? I mean,
Yeah.
you said a few years, but when realistically can we go out to bond for a new police department?
It's hard to say right now. We'd have to do that analysis, probably not before 3 years from now or 4 years from now.
But we could ask the capital committee, who
Yeah.
we formed, right,
Yeah.
and gave them a year and a half to come back and tell us the timing and
What they
how much we can
recommend.
afford, right,
Right.
given our debt load. So I think that we have that. You said they're reconvening shortly. We ought to make that part of their charge.
Yeah, and the Board of Finance too, because the Board of Finance has guidelines, and I agree with them on how much debt we want to carry, how much of our budget, our overall budget do we want to spend on debt, you know, our load. So we have to look at all those things.
I just don't want to, put these people in place and then they're hanging on for 4 years, or if they're done in 2 years, but we can't bond for another 2 beyond that, like, are their suggestions going to die on the vine? So
No.
we have to be very, very careful with how we.
We do, but
Go
we
about
really want to have a good idea what we're doing and get cost estimates for what it would be so that we can plan, right? We hear numbers anywhere, I've had people shoot at 8 million to 20 million to turn center school into a community center. I have no idea what the number is, but we need to flesh that out. We need to understand that, and we need to do that sooner rather than later. If we have a good idea, a new police station is going to be $18 million in 2 years. We can pretty much extrapolate out a couple years more. Okay, with inflation, it'll be 21 million in 3 years and
With
22
the
million.
electricity, it could be 50 million.
Yeah, we could all be having this meeting by candle pretty soon, right? But it's better to know it and plan than and these things take time, they just do, and I think
I'm
we
kind
should
of with you.
move ahead.
We got to get some more facts out there
Yes,
and
I
really
agree.
understand it, so.
I agree. Okay, any further discussion?
I mean, I'm 100% on board with getting a committee going, and I
Great.
agree that it should be before center school. I think we need to maybe talk more about it before we go pointing people to it in September without really understanding what is the end state, what is it we're trying to do. Just
We
get
can-
initial conversations started in the committee, or, is Chief gonna be on the committee?
Oh, I would think at least the chief would at least
He's gonna be
be,
very busy.
the police department liaison to the committee, right? We are talking about a police building, and who knows more what you need in a police building than the chief of police. So I think he would sit on that committee. And we can discuss that. I think what we should do is get residents come forward who want to possibly join. Remember, we're hoping to have somebody from the police commission, which is a good idea, somebody from municipal building committee, because they have a lot of expertise in actual building. Rolling off of Candlewood Lake Elementary School, I'm sure they're just raring to take on another project. And so we should have that conversation, and I think we should move forward and ask people. And we'll see who comes forward, and then in September, we'll make a decision how to move forward. Does that make sense to everyone?
Makes sense to me.
Okay, great. There was one thing, I would like to make a motion to add an item to our agenda under new items. Today, we got a note from, a letter from the Planning Commission. We have to do well, let me make the motion. To add an item to the agenda, the appointment of a consultant for the plan of conservation and development. Do I have a second to add that to the agenda? Bob seconds. All in favor? Aye. Are you a yes?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So, as most people know, we have to do a plan of conservation and development, and it has to be completed within the next year and 3 months, March of 2026. We have in this year's budget money to hire a consultant to help the Planning Commission do that study. It's incredibly involved and it's a lot of work. We had 3 bidders on to work as a consultant. One was $50,000 over our budget, so we decided to kind of look at the other 2. The other 2 were under our budget of $120,000. We did called references on both those final bidders and had meetings with the Planning Commission, all of our people internally, our purchasing agent, myself, Greg Dombowski, Laura Barkowski, everyone who would be involved in this, and it was unanimous recommendation, and now I'll make that motion, that the Board of Selectmen approve the appointment of BFJ Planning as a consultant to the Planning Commission as they create the 10-year plan of conservation and development. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Second. Any discussion on that?
Is there a contract?
Yeah, they would submit a contract to us, yeah. They would sign a contract.
So we're not, what is it that we're voting on right now?
To appoint BFJ Planning as a consultant for the plan of conservation.
They've already made a bid, the contract.
They've already
matched
bid.
the bid.
We've got their pricing, we've got their services. They meet all our requirements.
So are we giving you the thumbs up to sign the contract with them?
Yeah.
Or what?
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to, can we see the contract?
Sure, we can send you a copy of it.
Shouldn't it be included in, that's why I'm asking, what is it we're voting on?
Have we received the contract yet, Steve? Or is
No,
it
no,
yet to
we
be
haven't
come-
received the
yet to
final
come?
contract from them. We can send it. But it was a unanimous choice of all the boards and the internal staff to appoint BFJ. And I have we need to move pretty quickly. I think we should appoint them, and if we have a problem with the contract, as soon as we get the contract, we'll send it. Obviously, it always goes to the town attorney for review, and we'll send it to the Board of Selectmen, and if we have a problem with that, we can negotiate with BFJ. These are usually pretty standard contracts, the AIA contracts that they use, so I don't anticipate any major problems. If there is, then we stop and say, whoa.
Are they a Connecticut company?
Yeah, they're a Connecticut company, small company based, what's the town they're based out of?
Not far from here, I don't remember the town name, but they're close by.
Yeah.
They're doing Newtown's POCD right now.
Yeah.
For example.
And what was the price?
110,000, I believe, plus 100, I'm sorry, plus 15 for the affordable housing.
If we so choose.
If we so choose to do that, so it would be 115,000 would be their bid. The next lowest bidder was 115,000 plus something for the AHD. They happen to be the lowest bidder, and also we felt the most qualified.
So is the, if the moratorium gets passed for the slowing of development, is that gonna be built into the POCD?
It would be a consideration that they would note in there. That moratorium is not gonna be forever. So they would adjust their recommendations to say, hey, although we know there's a moratorium in place right now, here's what we recommend in the future, right? Because I don't think we want to have a moratorium forever. What we do want to have a moratorium is until this is completed and a new POCD is created that meets the vision of what Brookfield residents want, right? My personal opinion is, I look at what's happening in town, and this is why I talked to Curtis Timmerman and supported him and asked him to put in a multifamily moratorium. What I read in the POCD is incredible, the current one is incredibly good. It's detailed, it creates a real vision for what we want for our four corners and for multiple housing and all the things that we want. Grocery stores, things that we really support. But when I look at what's actually happening, in my mind, they don't agree. So that's why I suggested that we do put a moratorium in place until this new POCD is developed.
But so the new POCD delivery and approval by us would be what would lift the moratorium? Is that what those,
No,
that's
no.
what zoning is thinking about?
I think they would do it in coordination with the new POCD. They would get the new POCD, look at it. They usually write their zoning laws based on that POCD, so they would need time to absorb what the POCD is saying to them. And then once they have new zoning laws or changes, updates that they wanted, incorporating the POCD, they would then probably lift the moratorium and then write the new rules. So we're looking to have this completed by next October, right? The consultant says they can do it in that time frame, and that will be done before the Planning and Zoning Commissions join in December.
Well, we gotta get it done before that, because that'll be a bit crazy, I think.
Yeah, it would be a bit crazy. So we can get it done by October, and that will be finished.
So your motion was just to hire this company?
Yeah, to approve the appointment of BFG Planning as a consultant. That's correct.
I'd like to make an amendment to the motion.
Sure.
I'd like to add to it and to authorize the first selectman to negotiate and finalize an agreement pending legal review.
Okay. Bob has made an amendment. I will second that.
So how does that relate to the contract? Because according to the charter, we're supposed to see all contracts as a board.
Yeah, you'll see the contract, but Bob's amendment allows me to, authorizes me to sign that contract after it's negotiated on behalf of the Board of Selectmen. So we can move forward with.
And you'll share it with us as you go?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would second that.
I just don't wanna put another roadblock of waiting for a meeting.
Yeah.
It's like I've noticed, have you signed any contracts since you've been back in office? There's been like nothing on the agendas with contracts.
No, haven't signed any contract.
You did a legal representation contract.
Yeah. Okay, so we have an amendment with, a motion with the amendment to authorize the first selectman to sign the contract on behalf of the Board of Selectmen. That was motioned.
I moved, you seconded.
I seconded the change. Any further discussion on the motion as amended?
We're gonna approve the amendment first.
Yeah.
Did you
We have
vote
to
on it?
approve the amendment, and then we do
Okay.
the whole
Approve the
motion.
amendment.
So I make a motion to approve the amendment. Bob seconded.
No,
the
he
other way.
made the
I
motion
made the
already.
motion, you did it, now
You
you just
seconded
call
it.
for the vote.
Just need to vote on the amendment.
Okay. All those in favor of the amendment? Aye. Are you
I'm
no?
gonna abstain.
Okay, you're gonna abstain. So that passes, the amendment passes. On the motion to approve the appointment of BFJ, we have a motion, we have a second.
As amended.
As amended, all those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Okay, 3-0, carries. Great, thank you, everyone. Our next updates. On Homeland Towers, they're not here. We had asked for the Planning and Conservation Committees to comment. The Planning Commission had to issue an 824 referral to us. They have done that, It is in this package. They have made a recommendation for Site C, and how would we word this? They agreed to move forward, that the Board of Selectmen should move forward on this. We did receive also a letter from the Conservation Commission, which is also attached, and they had also recommended, if I can quote the chairman, we're going to tell you from worst to least worst from the Conservation Commission. Conservation Commission is doing their job. They're trying to protect our open spaces. They also recommended Site C. We have not received the cell phone coverage maps that the Siting Council has requested of all the carriers. And so I don't think we should take a motion on this and move forward until such time as we have those coverage maps and have all the information.
Let me just correct something. They did
Yeah.
not recommend
I
Site
was
C.
just gonna
They
say that.
recommended Site A and B, not Site C.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right.
They
just to
said
be
Site
clear.
C is slightly better than Site D, but they don't want either Site C
C
or
or,
D.
they don't want C or D.
They don't-
It's-
I'm sorry,
It's
that's
up,
right.
it's much more up in the open space, and A and B were closer to the high school.
I'm sorry, you're right, you're right. I
Where were
misspoke.
A and B again? I've forgotten now.
They are the ones further up on the hill, but closer to the school. So if you know where the kids sled, up behind there.
Oh.
So if this is the school here, it would be over here. The C and D are here, closer to Williams Park. You know, so many feet off of Williams Park. The other ones are up on the hill. So what I would say is we just leave this as is, wait till we get those coverage maps, and then we take this up again in our September meeting. I'm not making a motion at this time. Okay? Any further conversation on that?
Yeah, so the Vale Road Tower, back to that, because it seems like this is contingent on that, based on finances, is that correct?
I'm sorry, say again?
Is
I
the,
didn't
the Vale
understand.
Road Tower, back to that, we were talking about that with
No,
Chief
no, the
earlier.
Vale Road Tower is, they have not agreed to make that contingent on negotiations with Homeland for the tower on the Long Meadow Hill site. So they want their fee, that's it.
Okay, so the original deal of, we were supposed to get some kind of a deal if we
Yeah.
agreed.
If we,
That's off the table now?
they just wouldn't put it, what I had asked them to do is to put into their Vale Road contract a renegotiation clause that if we do place a cell tower on the Long Meadow Hill property, they would renegotiate the Vale Tower lease, which is $3,000 a month. They have said they will not, they want us to sign the Vale Road agreement as is. We need to get this up, we need to get this moving, we got 90 days from them, they won't charge us for it. We've approved this, so I'm going to sign that agreement. Then if we make a determination as a town that we do want it on town property, we can go back and renegotiate with them and say, hey, remember what you said to us, you would give us a break on bail, you would give us a break on this, you'd give us the equipment for free, et cetera, and negotiate with them again. And I think they would be more than willing to do that, because they want to go on town land.
Yeah, you hold the cards.
Yeah, yeah, we hold quite a few
You hold
cards.
the cards. If we decide to put a tower up, we can make it contingent on them giving us.
Right, exactly, exactly, which I think they would be reasonable
So
about.
that's not part of the delay, is my question.
No.
No, we the delay was partly because we had asked them to please give us the 90 days, please put the renegotiation clause, and Tom Beecher found some language that was missing in their contract. We wanted that language put in, we wanted the 90 days, and we wanted the renegotiation clause. We got the 90 days, and we got the language. So we're gonna move forward and sign this as soon as Peter Franks can tell us, hey, the equipment's ready to go in the next week, we'll sign it. That's when the 90-day clock starts for the abatement of the monthly lease. That's what we'll do.
Fast as we can go.
Yeah. Okay. And that's the update on that. On the Iroquois pipeline, we have gotten in touch, and finally, the Deputy Commissioner will meet with me so that the town can express our concerns. We have, as of this afternoon at 3:30, a August 22nd meeting with the Deputy Commissioner. The DEEP has not set public hearing time. My guess is they're going to wait until the very last possible legal time they're allowed to notify a public hearing. We will request during our meeting with the Deputy Commissioner to be put on the agenda to speak at that meeting. I also met with Iroquois to clearly elucidate to them what the town's goals and expectations are. I got no agreement from Iroquois to do any of the air quality testing, but we put them on notice where we are and what we want. What should be noted here is one of the reasons that this is being held up and hasn't been completed 2 years ago is Connecticut is waiting, and Deepa said this, is waiting for New York to approve the Dover plan before they take action, because they have to upgrade all of their plants. New York has made no indication of when they're going to approve or disapprove it. So Connecticut is waiting for New York. So who knows when this approval would come to.
New York that's the full line.
Right. But that's where we are on that. And then I'll update the board after I have my meeting with the Deputy Commissioner. I want to say thank you to Susan Beisowitz, Lieutenant Governor. She was instrumental in getting us this appointment. You can imagine how many people want to meet with the DEEP and everything. She made it happen for us, so I thank her publicly. Any further questions or concerns on that?
You'll use our letter as the basis for the conversation?
Correct.
Right, okay.
Correct.
And all of the items on that letter, not just one or
Yeah.
two of them, but every single one of them.
All six.
We
I
put a
think
lot
there
of
were
things
6.
on there.
Yeah, we did. All 6. And hopefully we get a response from the Deputy Commissioner and see where we are in that. And then I'll report back to you guys.
So
Okay.
when will that be?
August 22nd at 2 p.m., I believe. Cynthia, did we say 2? Was it 2? It just happened this afternoon.
It's August 20th.
20th, sorry. At 2? 2, okay, sorry, it's August 20th. It's already in our calendar. Okay, let's move on to the consent agenda. I make a motion that the Selectmen approve items A through E on the consent agenda, which are comprised of the Selectmen approval for routine matters, which are none, Board of Selectmen meeting minutes for 7/1/24 and 7/27/24, 1 driveway bond release, 1 excavation bond release, and employee changes. Paulini Whitaker, Deputy Controller, resigned. Cooper Whiteside, Public Works Driver, Labor, is leaving us as of July 24th. Yesenia Cruz, Part-Time Land Use Administrative Assistant, also resigned. Paulini Whitaker decided to resign. I don't think she would be, to spend more time with her young child. And we wish her luck. We did change. Nancy Day was our senior accountant. She will move into Paulini's position as Deputy Controller. Lisa Joseph will move from Finance Assistant to Senior Accountant, which was Nancy's job, effective 7/22. And we've hired Tracy Emro as a part-time financial assistant to do payroll, effective 7/22. The additional monthly agenda items are appointments, and where is one?
I'm sorry, don't we have to approve the?
Oh, yeah,
consent
I made the motion. Do I have a second to approve those items on
A through
the
E?
consent agenda?
Second.
Bob seconds. Any conversation,
I
discussion?
just have a question about the minutes of our last meeting,
Yeah.
because I'm curious. I had asked if we gotten permission from the state to name their property. Did that ever happen?
To name their property?
When
You mean the Pocket Park?
yeah.
I don't remember that, but I don't remember saying we would do that. We can.
Yeah, the motion was contingent on getting permission from the state to, it's already named, I guess.
Oh,
We
wait,
already
no,
had the
no, no.
ceremony, so.
The
But I had
permission
asked.
from the state was to put a sign on the property that said Heron Park, right? That we said we would do. Greg Dembowski is in the process of doing that right now and helping Laura do that. We have to still make a final determination. The Parks and Rec Commission is still looking at this. they haven't made a final recommendation to the town as to calling it Heron Park. They asked why we want to call it Heron Park, and I said, well, it's herons.
So I'm confused. Why
Yeah.
did it come to the Board of Selectmen before the Parks and Rec if in fact they had the authority to make that decision?
Because
we should be the last approval.
we should be the last approval, but we had it on the agenda for the Board of Selectmen, and then the town attorney said to us, well, wait a minute, parks are really controlled by the Parks and Rec Commission, so you should go to them. So we had a discussion, and I said at the meeting, you know, we have to go to Parks and Rec because parks are controlled by Parks and Rec, and they have the final, you know, the say, and then it comes back to us for final approval.
So we didn't know what we were doing on that.
Yeah, we did it, and we
Just
did
got
it.
misdirected here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we didn't get permission from the state to name their property?
Well, to put a sign
No,
up.
the question wasn't to get permission from the state to
If you go
name it.
back and
to-
watch the meeting from last month, that's exactly what I asked. Do we have permission
Well, then I
from the state to
misunderstood.
name
We
their
do have to
property?
get permission from the state to put a sign up, right?
Okay, well, I was just asking because it's also in the minutes.
I'll check that, and we can certainly ask the state if they want to know what the name is.
But we ought to re-review the discussion and amend the minutes if in
If
fact
it's
that's
not
what it
correct.
said, so.
Yeah.
The minutes should reflect what we actually talked about.
So what I suggest we do is we table the minutes until we can go back, look at the actual recording, and make sure we understand if your comment was put in the minutes correctly. If not, we'll update it and we can.
It says here, any issues that may arise, and that was one of the issues that I had brought up. It's already done, you guys, it was in the newspaper, so whatever, I was just curious, because
No, we want it to be correct.
And we want it to be right.
We want it to
And
be
just,
right.
Tara, to support your concern, I think, I'm gonna amend the motion to remove the July 1st, 2024 from the approval, and we'll do it at the next meeting after it gets re-reviewed.
I will second
I think
that.
Tara's on the right point, that if in
I
fact
agree.
there was a specific concern about the
Should be
checking
right.
with the state, we really ought to have the minutes reflect that.
Yes, I agree.
Come
I
on,
will
fair's-
second.
Fair's fair here.
Yes, I agree. I will second that amendment to my motion. Do we have, all in favor
Of that
of the
amendment.
amendment, say aye?
Aye.
Okay. And I had made a motion to accept the consent agenda. And
with that
now with the amendment, do I have a second?
You've already been seconded.
No, it's already been seconded. So all those in favor, say aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. So we'll look into that.
Appointments.
Okay, appointments. I would make a motion that the selectmen appoint Karen San George as a member of the Arts Commission as recommended by the Democratic Town Committee with the term of 8/5/24 through 2/2/26. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, great. And then we just have correspondence. I'm not gonna read it all. And that should be it. I would then make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second,
You can
2
have it.
seconds.
You can have it.
We'll let Tara
Thanks,
do
Bob.
that. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone.